Good evening. I'm Nathan Kirkton. This is Gary Clark.
Good evening, everybody.
Right. Um, where do we start?
Sorry for the delay, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. But as always, it wouldn't let me use my camera at all. We managed to get around it, so we got audio, but for some reason, it wouldn't let us use our cameras, which is part of the course with these people. But we've managed to get around it. But that's why we're late anyway. We do apologise.
Yes. Technical issues as always.
Yeah.
I'd like to play. Right. Matt. Most painful to find out what's sort of going on. And do you want to start then, Gary? And then I shall follow before I'm sorting out a few bits in the studio.
Yeah, well, basically, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the screen now, we've come up with a new concept. People have done these concepts before where they've marched to London, etc., or gone on protest, but this is completely different. We can't go into the full details tonight, but basically this is going to be completely different to anything you've ever seen before on these marches, because there is an end goal to it. But if you've got a cause, it doesn't matter what cause it is, Justice for 21, Tracy and their cause for the, justice for our boys, whether you're against chemtrailing, migrant crisis, it doesn't matter what cause you've got.
Yep.
If you've got a cause, we need you on this march. You're compelled to do it,
exactly.
basically. It's your duty, lawful duty to do it.
It is very much your lawful duty, and we need it's time this happened. We need every single group represented. So if you, like Gary says, if you've got a cause, if you've got a group, it's time to have flags, have banners. It's time for groups to come and represent themselves, and this is going to be a part of what we're doing.
It's the same as the football lads as well. We need you. We need everybody. We need everybody on this march. We need the numbers on this march more than ever.
Like I said, and this is a chance to represent. So you'll be representing your group. So it needs. I mean, this will be a lawful march as always. There's a lot more to it. We can't go into too much detail now. Tonight, basically, we're trying to give it a heads up because we've had time again people say about things are tight, money's tight, things are a bit hard. So we're trying, because you're going to need. This is going to be a march. This is going to. This is not a couple of hour thing. This will be over a couple of days, so people need to we're trying to give people a heads up so you can prepare a bit for this, because you will need sort of like a tent, a sleeping bag, stuff like that, and you will need to get some money to sort of like to feed yourself, stuff like that, for a couple of days. So we're trying to give everybody a bit of a heads up. But generally tell you the general concept now, and that is coming together. It's time for unity, people. It's time to put all arguments aside. Okay, this march is going to be a completely lawful march. It's going to be one for all. So, as me and Gary have said many times, it's now time to put down like the weapons against each other and start picking up some unity. And this is what we're hoping to achieve on this march. This is why we want all groups there, all representing, all telling your story.
Yeah, and of course it includes the veterans as well. It includes every single group. If I've not mentioned your group, it's not because we don't want you there. It's because I can't remember all the groups, but
there's too many to mention. But we talked with a set of veterans actually about being on the march. We'd very much like the veterans. This is the thing. If you're against the persecution of our veterans, if you're against anything that is going on, any treasonous actions that the government's doing and the Crown's allowing, then you should be on this march. If you are fighting for our children, if you're fighting against any of the main causes, you need to be on this march. Your group. We want the flags back. We want the banners back. We want the T-shirts. We want you to start representing what you are up in arms about, what you are actually protesting about, what you are actually trying to fight against. It's time to actually be seen.
It's time to show a united front, ladies and gentlemen. And basically, why we're doing it like this is because most marches happen in London or wherever, and everybody just meets up. You're all strangers, etc., etc. Nobody gets to bond with anybody else other than for a couple of hours, etc. We're trying to do it this way now. So while you're marching, while you're camping, while you're having each night, you'll have somebody do a talk about their particular cause, etc. It's also to hopefully teach you your rights as you're walking. So, and it's absolute bonding experience, so that when you get where we're going, you're not only just on this march, you've bonded with people and you've become a family. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to unite the country, because that's what needs to happen.
No, Popsy, this won't be on the weekend. This is why we're trying to give everybody the heads up now. This will be over a couple of days, and it will not be like like the marches you've seen before, where it's on the weekend. And it's like Gary's just said, we drop the right and the left, drop the thing. Any cause is valid. If you are truly for your cause and the government are acting against the people in a way that's treasonous, seditious, any kind of things like that, then you need to be at this.
Yeah.
So this is like Gary said, this is a chance for, and it's never been done before, this is a chance for groups to bond properly. So we've all got a common goal. We all want solutions. And this is about solutions. This isn't about the problem. This is about solutions. And this is where all groups come together. We drop the arguments. We drop the egos. We put all that aside, and we come together, and we actually start bonding. And hopefully this will be a massive bonding exercise. It's multifaceted, what we're going to be doing. There's many aspects to it. There is a few goals, but there is a goal at the end of it. I hope as many people are going to be there as possible. It's a good. We're not going to be releasing the dates and that lot today, because there's certain things being sorted out. We'll be doing a show the next week or two to give you more of the details. As again, tonight is basically about trying to get people ahead of this, so they understand, so they can get their groups organised. They can actually represent their group on this march. Hopefully we'll get the numbers. Right, can everybody welcome Wayne back from America, from across the pond. How you doing, Wayne?
Good afternoon, or good evening, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good evening, Dwayne. How are you? How's things?
Oh, we're relatively warm here in Florida right now. It's about 65 Fahrenheit. I was outside working on my sidewalk when I got the note reminding me, hey, you got to be on the radio.
I've been actually rushing around today, so everything was a bit late today. But this is the thing, it's like, so what, obviously, personally, I think this should be happening across the globe, but it's like, I think this is something we all need to really sort of understand. There is common goals across this side and across the pond. I'm sure you'll agree with Wayne, that we can all unite under. I mean, the same thing's happening across the board, really.
I agree. We've got some huge problems going on here. And as I was telling a friend earlier today, we're headed towards a second civil war here. Since we were specifically talking about what Martin Luther King preached and died for, and then what Obama just turned asunder. And Martin Luther King worked to unite the races so that everybody kind of got along. And for a long time, regardless what you may have heard, fairly much everything was going well. And along come Barack Obama, and the next thing you know, he's sitting there sowing hatred so that black people hate white people hate black people, we all hate Hispanics. That's what they tried to do, because if you're fighting each other, you're not paying attention to what they're doing to you.
Exactly.
As a whole.
And this is what, in some way, what this march is about. It's hoping to dispel with. It's actually meeting the people in person. So you can see we're not all that different. We're all the same. We've all got causes. We all want the same thing, in essence. And that's what we've got to start uniting on. That's what we've got to start coming together on. We all want the same thing. We want solutions. We want our lives to be bettered, not to be made worse. And this is a chance to do it. We haven't got much longer before the international health regulations are finalised and they kick in. And this is what people need to understand. Democracy is in danger here across the world. That's no exaggeration. If you go on to our thing, we're going to finish it, but the amendments to international health regulations, they kick in, as well as a number of like European treaties bits kick in. Other directives across the world kick in. Our democracy, our freedoms, our rights, our dignity, the whole lot is in the balance. This is where we truly need, if you are genuine, and I've said this many times, if you are genuine and you do really have a cause and you are genuine for that cause and you want solutions, we can all come together. We can all get the solutions for our causes if we work together. Yeah. And this is what this march is about. It's about, it's exactly it, the long march to freedom. It's to get our freedoms back. So Ray mentioned about Martin Luther King. The same in our country. I mean, we've had thousands of years of people giving their lives to fight for our freedoms and uphold our rights, and we've got to keep doing it. They're so being eroded again. It's time now that we again have to make sure that our freedoms and our rights are upheld, and that's across the board.
And I mean, people can see the picture. The reason it was called the Long March to Freedom 2 was in honour of all those who was marched out of the camps in March 1945 and went on a long march to freedom with the Germans. My dad was in that march, by the way, and he told me all about it. And it was, the conditions was atrocious. 2 foot of snow, minus 30, and they marched them. And they did it to survive because they know they had to survive. And that's why it's called the Long March to Freedom 2, in honour of all them that did that march at the end of the Second World War, and also for every other veteran that's ever lost a limb or lost a life, for the cause, for the country.
Yeah, exactly. It's for anybody that's ever had any harm or loss become of them, anything. Yeah. And this is part of it. It's like Gary says, it's a memory of the long march of freedom in World War II and the many marches to freedom that we've had before that, because that wasn't the only one. And it truly is a march to freedom. And this is where we need all causes, we need all group leaders all coming together. And we need to start talking about our causes and talking about solutions. And this is what this is. There is a goal to get this march. It's different from any other march.
Yeah, basically, instead of having a day for, a day for migrant crisis, a day for chemtrails, a day for this, a day for that, if all the groups come together, you can all put your point across at the same time so the government can see, look, it ain't just one problem. Look at the groups out there. There's lots of groups involved in this. We need to get our shit together. This is what it's all about. You've got to do it. But like I said, there is another end goal to it as well. We can't say too much now, but it's going to be bigger than people think.
Exactly.
And it will be lawful.
It will be lawful. It has to be lawful, first and foremost. But this is the thing as well. This is why it's going to be taken over a couple of days. We're going to we're going to be kind of following in the footsteps of many generations before. So for some, it may not be a lot of people's idea of fun to camp and certain that, but there's people before that went through a lot harder hardships and trials and tribulations to make sure our freedoms were upheld. And this is part of it, the attrition of building our freedoms and uphold them, and the reason why. And again, multifaceted. It's about bonding. It's about going through an experience. It's about solutions. That is multifaceted. Like I said, nothing has been done like this before.
Like Wayne said, what they've done, they've taught, if you're against chemtrails, somebody else thinks you're a nut job. If you're against, 5G, somebody else thinks you're a nut job. This, that, and the other, where all these groups can come together, and when you're talking and you're bonding, you'll realise these people ain't nut jobs. They're not conspiracy theorists. There's a lot to everything what they're saying, and it's true. It's just that the mainstream media put the stuff out there, and it's all done by design to divide and conquer. It's time to end that now, ladies and gentlemen, for your children's sake.
Exactly. It's time to put down divides Division is not going to help us. It's time to come together. Like I said, this is why we want flags, we want banners, we want T-shirts, we want groups represented. We want to show a collective of people that are actually up in arms and show how across the board things are happening. So we need every group to represent themselves. This is now time to come out, show everybody your cause, what your group is, what you fight against, and why.
Yeah. And we want you to be proud when you're walking along. We want you to be proud to get your phones out, go on Facebook or wherever, do your lives and tell them what march you're on, what group you're with, you're uniting with other groups, and be proud to say we're all uniting, because this is what we need to do.
I mean, we can argue about politics of everything and the ins and outs at a later date. At the moment, like this march thing, this march is to get people to come together on the very basics that we can all agree on, and I'm sure we can agree on the very basics that uphold law and order and civilization in our societies. We want our society, we want our streets to be safe. We want to be governed the right way. We want certain things to be done in a certain way. We all have wants, we all have needs, we all have a cause. It's now time together to come together and show that we are going to give a united front. Like I said, nothing like this has been done before. We are going to be releasing. We can't really sort of say too much because certain bits still being sorted out. But we're in the next week or two, we will be doing a live with a lot more information. It's just basically tonight is just the start of it to give everyone a heads up, because you will need camping gear, cooking gear, stuff like that, because it's going to be a couple of days.
Tonight's just the concept, getting you used to the concept of what we're trying to do, and getting people used to it, and like you said, get the stuff that they need for them days, and the rest will be given out. The details, the march and everything will be given out next week or the week after when it's all finalised.
Because I mean, we know what's going on, we know what we're doing things out. We just need to finalise certain couple of things, so we give people the right information and it's all sorted first. So like tonight, we're just basically people can start getting ready, because we, like I keep saying, we know like money's tight, we know situations are tight, so it's not going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. You've got a month or two before this is going to happen. We can say that much. But people need time to get money together. They need time to get their resources together, and get their groups organised. So we're trying to give you a heads up now, as Gary says. In the next week or in the next 2 weeks, there will be a show, and all details of the march and what's going to actually go on is going to be sort of given. Tonight is about giving people a heads up and just generally starting to talk about putting our differences aside, because at the end of the day, like I keep saying, we all want a resolution to all this. We all want this to turn out for the better, and it's time now to make sure that happens.
Yeah. And hopefully on the next one, when we do put that information out, you can get people from the heads of these groups to come on and like the Wayne is now, and we can put it out and have the chat on the live with the leaders of some of the main groups that'll be on it.
Exactly. I mean, that would be amazing. So if you do know any groups, if you're involved in any groups, start getting speaking to your leaders, start speaking to the start organising now. Come to us and that lot. Let's start, as Gary said, let's start talking amongst ourselves. Let's start promoting each other. Like I said, it's time to put our differences aside. We all have a cause. We all want a solution that we can agree on, and there is a solution. There is a solution.
Yeah. Like I said, people will have the chance to put their causes out there, and from the camp or whatever, like you said, now if you're setting up a camp, somebody might want to go on about 5G one night, so they'll stand up and be live from the camp about 5G. The next day it might be Justice for the 21 if they do come along. That put not that everybody down already now, but we sort of refresh the cases and stuff like this and bring it back into the open, because this needs to be done now, because like you said, very soon these 15-minute cities are being implemented. Very soon, if people don't stand up, you won't be able to do anything like this. It's be finished. You've got to stand up for your rights and show these people, you're not going to stand for it while you still can. And like I said, it's got to be done lawfully, so there'll be no kicking off, because you don't need that. Doesn't need that to happen to resolve this. All it needs is people power.
Exactly, like I said, it's like forget about kicking off, forget about all that. We need to start uniting. As Gary said, it's people power. So let's start coming together and just respecting each other. And that's the main thing we've got to start doing. It's like you may not agree with some of the people that speak in, you may not agree with some of the views of some of the groups, but this is the whole point. You don't have to agree with them. You just respect their right to actually be on the march and actually have their say. That's it.
Yeah.
And everybody is welcome at this. It doesn't matter whether on the left, right. Everybody is welcome. This is going to be a lawful march. This is not about like Gary says. It's not about just like trying to get one over or stick one back to the police or anything like that. This is a lawful march. This has a bigger and greater meaning than just going down and like most marches do for a day. This is going to be. There's a lot more to this. Like I said, in the next couple of weeks we'll be releasing a lot more about it. But this is bigger than any other march has been before. There's a lot more to this. There is a bigger objective to this. This is time for everybody to come together. If not now, we're going to lose a chance. So we've got to do it now. And this is why I try to give everyone the heads up. So,
as I was growing up, they were always telling us it wasn't polite to talk about religion or politics. But they only told you that because they wanted to destroy religion and make politics dirty. And look around you and see what they're doing to the church and what they're doing to anybody who speaks up against the state.
Exactly. See, that's exactly it. So this is what the sort of part of what this march is about. It's about uniting people under common goals and common aspects, really, and common beliefs. I mean, I'm sure we can all agree that murder's not good, stealing's not good, stuff like that. It's all basic, just stuff of our society and what we want for our society. So we've all got different causes, we've all got different angles we're going about, and this march is going to be one. A big thing we really want for this is we want people to talk to each other, not argue, just hear each other out. That's the thing. It's like this march is more about listening than it is about arguing or anything like that. It's about listening to everybody else. And if you listen, you'll see that everybody wants solutions. And there is a solution to all our problems.
Yeah.
And this march is going to go along with
you want to try and get through to the people that if you learn your rights, you learn the Constitution, and you learn your rights, and you know how to uphold them, it's a much better way than violence, because they have to uphold your rights. They've got no choice once you know. Whereas if you're just going shouting, certain words, common law, and kicking off, all that's going to ever happen to you, just always going to get arrested and fined. Whereas if you know how to stand, under your own sovereignty, etc., then you're already 90% there.
Well, this is the thing. This is going to be a big part of this march. We can say that much. I mean, our sovereignty is under attack. Once they lost sovereignty, and they intend to with the international health regulations and that lot, we lose a lot. Well, we do. We're basically giving up our defence against these people, and this is why we need to stand up for it. I mean, a lot of people don't understand sovereignty. They don't understand what it means, and hopefully, March, you will start to see how much your sovereignty means and why the EU and the WF and all these institutions, why they want us to give up our sovereignty. I mean, go and have a look at any of their videos. They say, we must give up more sovereignty. And that's exactly what we must do. And this is what people have got to understand. It's like we've got to start agreeing on the basics. So the ins and outs of someone's cause is neither here nor there. The fact that we all mutually want an end to these horrid, and actually despicable actions should be enough. Yeah. That's where we come together. This is about meeting each other, coming together, showing that we can be united. So if people really, really, truly, forget past arguments, forget everything that's gone on before. If you truly want a solution, if you truly want this country to be better and you want things to change, then come on a march. Start putting yourself where it needs to be so it can happen.
The first thing you've got to install is your freedoms and your liberties back. Without them, it doesn't matter what cause you've got. Because if you've got no freedoms or liberties to protest and argue about it, what's the point? So it doesn't matter what cause you've got, what cause you're following. Your main cause, which is all a common cause for everybody, should be we want our freedoms and our liberties and removal of all these bloody ridiculous draconian rules like these 15-minute cities. So we've got the freedom to go where we want to again. You want that reinstalled first, then you can sort the rest out.
This is the thing. It's like most of our problems have a common solution. Once people sort of get together and realise that, then we'll aim our activities in the right direction. But just so people, like I said, this is why we're trying to give people a heads up, because there will be some walking involved, and it's a march. There will be walking involved, so a decent pair of walking shoes. Some people may want walking sticks or hiking sticks, stuff like that. That will help. So this is new stuff. Like I said, so you can't, I mean, yeah. With what's going to go after this is like you'll be able to join. If you can't join at first, you'll be able to. Let's have a couple of days. You'll have a chance to get there and join. So all will be revealed. It's just that now we need people to start talking to groups, start getting groups organised, getting them there, getting them ready to be there. So again, you're going to need tents. You're going to need sleeping bags. You need like some clothes that you can wear in the rain, some you don't have to. Like I said, we're not trying to do it in the dead of winter, so don't worry about that. It is going to be soon. It may get cold on some nights, things like that. That's what you've got planned for. But again, as Gary says, there has been many of our people before that have walked and gone through a lot harsher situations for our freedoms. And this is part of what this march is to do, is to show you the hardships, sort of put yourself in the position of them people in some way, so you can understand why and what people have done and why it's so important.
Yeah,
we are in contact with some groups, and yes, we're waiting for some more to come forward and that lot. This is time, like I said, this is time for us to all put our differences aside and come together.
Yeah. Because once you've come together, lads and gentlemen, if you're whatever side, whatever you're pushing, once you come on this walk and you all realise, we're all human beings, they ain't got loads in common, really. They ain't as bad a people as I thought. Then maybe farther down the line, once you've got your freedoms and your liberties back, the next thing you can do is, when somebody's going forward with their cause, people will back them, because they've got to know these people as people, and they know they're not these crazy people. What they're saying is true, and that's how it works. Start to back each other's causes as well. That's what it's all about. You've got to start doing the right thing for our children, because our children are the ones who are going to suffer in the long run, because this probably won't happen fully in my lifetime, but I don't want to leave that legacy for my children and grandchildren where, they're going to be enslaved and ain't going to have any freedoms or liberties. That's no good.
But it's the thing.
I want to leave this earth knowing full well my children and grandchildren and future generations are going to have the freedoms that I had. I'm not under any illusion we've all been free, absolutely free. We've all been tax slaves and that. We've been able to go where you want, when you want, basically. And that's what I want it all sorted back. Simple as. Because otherwise, what sort of people are we if, like, well, as long as I'm all right, I've had my life, it don't matter what my children and future generations suffer, I ain't going to be here. That's no attitude to have.
Exactly.
That ain't
It is, and that's why this march is going to be so important, because people understand this is about the future. Where all said and done, This is about our children and our grandchildren's future. So if you can't put your differences aside for a few days and start to talk solutions and start to talk unity, then what can you come together for? What is your cause there for? If it's not for the greater good to make a better life for our children, our grandchildren, then why is your cause? Why is your efforts been put into what you're doing? I said this is where, like I said, we need banners back. One of the biggest things, I've said it for the last few years, one of the biggest things I think is we lost people doing banners and flags and highlighting very, very loudly what they're against. And this is the whole point. We want this to be seen. So if you've got a cause, if you've got a gripe, then we want that to be displayed. We want the powers that be to know what we are unhappy about. So that's why every group needs to represent.
Yeah. And that's what we've said. We've come up with the concept and the march and everything, but it's not our march, it's everybody's march. This is what we're trying to say to you. There's no hierarchy on this march. It's going to be everybody's equal. Every group is equal.
Exactly. And that's what people have got to understand, that there's going to be no forerunners or leader in the fair. This is a group effort. It's shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. The only thing we've got to start,
we'll stand together.
Stipulate, 2 seconds, Dave. The only things we will stipulate, as we've come up with the concept now, it's got to be lawful.
Yeah.
That's the only stipulation. Other than that, everybody's equal.
Exactly. We've got to remain within the laws of this land. So keep the peace. No loss, no harm. We've got to keep within the law. This has got to be lawful. This, like I said, this isn't about violence. This isn't about him. The first part of this and the main part we need to lead with to begin with is the unity aspect. I said there is a goal to this, but we need to get the unity first. Once we've got the unity, everything else falls into place.
Yeah, when you see what the guy and when you see what the end goal is, it'll all make sense.
But this is, like I said, this has not been done before. No other march has been like this, or I don't think there'll be another one like this. It's one of them. And this is it. It's down to the groups, down to the people. It's like, if you want a solution, it's now time to act on it. It's now time to start coming together and start seeing that we all have a common goal here. And when you take away all the politics and all the other stuff, when it boils down to it, we all want the same thing. We want the wrongs put right, and we want a safer and we want a secure society for our children's future. I don't think we need
this
to say more than that on that.
This can be done worldwide in a different way, because obviously people have got our reason for doing it will become clear. But other countries can still do this same march, call it what they like, and they can still do a similar march to get their freedoms and liberties back. America can do it, Wayne. You know what I mean? Everybody can do this. It ain't just only we can come up with it. No, everybody can do this. All it needs is people to actually lose the fear, lose the egos, get together, start uniting, and do it for the common cause. That's all it needs, and anybody can achieve it all.
I mean, this is the thing. This is what people got to realise. It's not just us here, our brothers and sisters in the mainland Europe, across the world. Most countries are up in arms. Most countries are not happy. So there could be a global long march to freedom too. It could be a global thing.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of places now, France, Germany, they're all running around like headless chickens and looking for guidance. They're looking on how to do it. And it's like this concept, what we're doing now, it's simple and it's easy to do. But all it needs, like I said, basic common sense that now we really have got to stop fighting. We've got to stop all this, because we're never going to win while that's going on, ever.
I mean, we can all keep ourselves. We can all keep. I mean, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all, type thing. Like I said, once people realise we're uniting for a greater good, we're uniting for our children, our grandchildren, our future generations, even the children that's not here yet. And that should be in every single group and everybody's mind on this march. There is a greater good here, and it's greater than your ego, my ego, our gripes, the past arguments. It's greater than that, and this is the time, and we have a chance
Yeah.
here to put all that to bed, leave it behind, and actually start coming together, uniting, and have a united front against these wrongs.
Yeah. I mean, what was that about, Vawane? Yesterday, I seen something on there. There was out in the street in Times Square, not last night again. One. What was that about?
Say that again. You were breaking up there for a second. Say it again.
Sorry, mate. I saw yesterday something about there was out in Times Square last night. What was all that about?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's kind of a long story, but I'll make it as short as I can. In early January this year, in the city of Memphis, Tennessee, which is along the Atlantic coast, 5 black young police officers tried to pull a young man, also a young black man, pulled him over. They said he was reckless driving, and for some reason, they began to really get rough with him. And there's video of all this on the internet. There's video all over. And they, by the time it was all done, they tased him, they pepper sprayed him over and over and over again. He got away from them, began to run home, and they caught him. They cuffed him, and then they beat the living snot out of him, and they killed him.
Wow.
And the 5 cops have been arrested, and they're going to be tried for murder. But the always on the go, ready to screw things up whenever you want, Antifa, whatever you want to call them, that group of people, you notice they've all got pre-made signs. They all look alike. All those signs cost big money, and you got to wonder where that money's coming from. But everybody's got the signs. But they are out there. They were in New York City, downtown New York, raising hell. Excuse me, raising havoc. They were in multiple other cities with the intention of stirring problems, simply because if you're happy, if you're happy with Gary, or Gary's happy with Nathan, or either of you are happy with me, we can't have that crap going on. Because if you're not mad at me and I'm not mad at you, then we can have time to pay attention to what they're doing to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly right.
But I watched the video, and you got to have a good stomach to watch what they did to that kid. What they did was just totally, absolutely out of line. And I know I've referenced him before, but Tucker Carlson had, I can't remember his name, but he's with Outkick.com. And he's a black man who said the biggest problem was these were all young black men. They didn't have a father in their life. They were all young, and they wanted to fight. And this was a black man saying this about other black men. I live in a predominantly black area. As the minister across the street told me, he says, you guys got to be the only white people here within 15 blocks any direction. But we get along here because I take somebody as they treat me. You treat me decent, you're okay. But if you want to be, if you want to be a problem, then that's a different situation. But he's saying that these young black cops had no fatherly, basically they had no father because of, like I said, Martin Luther King spent all that time preaching, we've got to come together. We don't need to be known as black people, white people, Hispanic people. We don't need to be that way. We just need to be people. Well, Obama's the one who really pulled the trigger on it, but he began, like I said, he turned black people against white people against black people. And, everybody's against the Hispanic, the Asian, you name the group, and they begin to turn each other against each other. Because when you're, like I said, when you are paying attention to those people and fighting a bunch yourself, you're not watching what they're doing to you. And
like I said, that video will turn your stomach, the way that they beat that kid. That went on for several minutes. And those cops are going to probably end up in prison for a long time, and possibly even be, I think Tennessee has the death penalty, because that was just plain and simple murder.
Yeah, well, they deserve it, don't they? At the end of the day, you can't just take a life willy-nilly for no reason. Especially when you've cuffed him. Once you've got him cuffed, he ain't going to be a problem, is he? Because he's defenseless.
The young man was absolutely defenseless, and he began. I think initially he was trying to get along with them, but it was like, from what I could see, it was like the cops went after him specifically. They agitated the situation. I was a paramedic for a long time, and I saw a lot of bad situations, but a good cop can defuse that stuff. But these guys weren't interested in diffusing anything. The only thing they were interested in was igniting the fire.
We all know what they did over Wayne Downby. We all know that they do ritual killings to cause these divides anyway. So, do you know what I mean? That could have been one of them scenarios. I'm not saying it was, but they do these things. It's the same as what you've just hit the nail on the head with the no father figure. That happens all around the world with black and white people. They've got it now that a woman will go out and they'll have a meet a man. They'll have 2 or 3 kids, 2 or 3 children, and the man disappears. Is bringing them children the best they can on her own. But then what happens? The state get involved, because now there's no father figure in the life, so the state get involved more and more and more, and they're easier to brainwash to their way of thinking, because there's no father figure in the life. And it's...
Well, this is another thing as well. Going back to the march, this is why the march has to be lawful, and we have to all be accountable for our own actions, because, like I said, there may be an element of the police, it probably will be, but again, at the end of the day, we cannot give... I mean, many situations, if the police have an excuse to use it, if you don't give them an excuse, then it shows their behaviour. So let's not have it where our behaviour is shown to be wrong. Let's start highlighting the behaviour of like the police if they do act wrong, because we don't know how they're going to act. We're going to remain within the law. We're going to remain lawful and peaceful, so there shouldn't be any problems. But if the police do act that way, then their actions will be shown. Again, the people we can unite by the common decency that we have for each other, and for the right and wrong of the way these people act. This is the thing. Let them be shown by their actions. Exactly. That's what we need.
Exactly.
Because it means like, because a lot of people try to marches and that lot, and they try and sort of go in and do certain bits and try and have a violent connotation. It never works, because the police get hold of it straight away anyway, and they have an excuse to come hard, but they don't on this one, because the police have absolutely no excuse to act against us. They have no lawful right to act against us either, actually. So I'm hoping, me personally, I'd hope that we could actually have, like, if the police are an element of this, that we can actually have conversations and respect each other and actually go back and forth to the point where we actually have mutual understanding. And this is what we need to start getting in this country. Common decency, mutual understanding.
Amen.
Well, basically, the police need to read the oaths and see what they're supposed to actually be doing. They're not supposed to be there to enforce policies and acts and statutes for the governments. They're supposed to be there to uphold the law.
Well, it's like me and you go. We've undergone lawful rebellion to Fidasho, so the only right they have to act against us is if we break laws of the land. That's it. That's the way they can act. So a majority of people on this march, quite a few that are under lawful rebellion, are going to be there. So it's one of them. So I'd hope the police would rather have a community sort of like nice approach where we would discuss rather than try and use any force, because it's like the way I said about that case, that there's been too much emphasis on force. It needs to go the other way. The whole reason why the constabulary is there is because it's with the will of the people. It's basically the goodwill of the people, the reason why they're able to do their job. and that their job is done. So I'd hope that we'd have that leading into this first and foremost, rather than apply force and ask questions later.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. We're hoping that a lot more people are going to actually get into 61, because it will protect you, and it is your duty to do it anyway. So it's not like you're doing anything unlawful or underhanded. It's your moral and lawful duty to be in it anyway.
It is, yes. That's the thing. By law, everybody is meant to enter and compel others to do so. That is the actual law, and this is what I think people really need to grasp. It's like, if we are going to truly get anything changed, we first of all have to be the right side of that change. And to be the right side of that change means that we have to act, and our intent has to be that it is the right side. Once we start off with that, then we'll start having a winning solution. Well, I hope that we're going to have some group leaders or some members or people, even if you, like you say, even if you protest alone, even if you want to come on your own and a part of a group, please contact us if you want to come on. We'll talk about certain bits that you're going to be representing there. Again, this is another chance. I mean, I'm hoping there's going to be groups there, and then people have got a chance to, if they're interested or they don't know much, they'll have a chance to then ask these people in these groups so they can get more of the information they need. Maybe start. A lot can be done on this march. A lot can be done, but it's going to be down to each and every one of you. If you really truly do, I mean, many people say before, it's like, I want to do so. I want to do so. Well, this will be doing something. So if you really want to do so, you'll be there. If you really are for our future generations, for our children, for our grandchildren, if you really are for change and you want the right change and you want the right things, then you'll be there.
Yeah. And this march won't be like where you go to London and boost the economy of London by going in their bars, in their clubs, in their shops, restaurants, eating. This will be like, yeah, you go to the shops on the way on the march, but it's not going to be that sort of thing where you are feeding them and they're quite happy for you to come till 4 o'clock and then piss you off home, because now you've spent enough money for what they want, and now you surplus the requirements for the day. It's time to get rid of them. That won't happen on this march.
No. Like I said, this march is going to be over a couple of days. All will be revealed, and people understand why it's like that, and the reasons why it's like that. But like I said, this march, there's not been a march like this before. This is the first of its kind. And I'm hoping that this is going to be the catalyst to actually some sort of unity, because this is what the biggest thing we need right now. We need unity. Like I said, we need to look at the end goal, the end result, not the minor infractions between us all and the disagreements and the differences of opinion, because opinion is opinion. Everyone's got one. Realise that, but our common goal is the same. We want our children, our grandchildren, to not suffer the horrors of the past. So surely we can all come together on that, just in one. When we start concentrating on goals like that, the rest you'll see, once you start talking, the rest will see kind of immaterial. It's not immaterial in its long sense, but there is great reasons why we should be doing what we're doing. And there is a lot of reasons, but the greatest reasons why we should be putting our differences aside and actually trying to unite and all trying to put our efforts into a common goal is because that's the only way it's going to actually happen. While we're all divided into our little groups and everything like that, and we're all fighting our own little battles, it's never going to work. We need to start coming together and start uniting.
Once you've got your freedoms and your liberties back, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they're doing now, and they think they've got carte blanche to do it. Once they realise you're not going to stand for that, and you are fighting for your freedoms, and you ain't going to stand for it, then all these things like these 15-minute smart cities and all that, they won't just be doing these things in the future, because they'll realise that the people will be up, so they'll have to start doing the job correctly and governing us properly like they should by consent, and you'll be started to be asked these things again. But as long as you just allow them to do these things to you without standing up against it, that's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Well, this is the thing, 'cause it's like we've seen many things happen over the years, and many different things tried. Some are successful, some are not. So some say voting in is an option. A lot of people say no. I mean, if you understand what they're about to do with WF and all that lot with pandemics and the health regulations, you'll understand that democracy is about to be all but captured. So it's now time to, like I said, come on the march, start listening, start learning. There is many different aspects to the fights we actually have, and it's time we started listening to that, because, like I said, within that listening, you will find that we all do have the common goals.
Exactly. Because let's face it, if you'd still all got your freedoms and your rights, they would never have been able to mandate these vaccines in the first place. Because
Exactly.
it would have been everybody's choice, just like it always has been in the past. But because we've let them take control, they've sort of said to us, "You're going to have to do this," and everybody's just gone, "Oh, okay." Then if you said we've got to do it, no, you haven't got to do it.
And
Use
that's
your
it,
sovereignty, like we said.
exactly, and that's part of what this bunch is about. A lot of it is about your sovereignty. It's about actually taking yourself back. Being, I mean, so rather than, like Gary said, us just allowing them to do this to us not doing anything or ignoring it, it's time to take yourself back and realise the power you have. It's time to restore your power, your say, your voice, and this is how you do it.
Yeah. And like we said, there does not to be violence involved. As long as you do it lawfully, especially like if you're under 61, there ain't a lot they can do, because you're compelled. When you're under tyranny and oppression and corruption, you're compelled to do it anyway. It tells you, your own constitution tells you should have to do it. You should do it you should do it lawfully, and it's your moral duty as well to do it.
I mean, some people, because you mentioned the Constitution, think freedom of the land. We're not freedom of the land, and this is not a freedom of the land march. This is the Constitution. This is the very laws, rules, regulations, guidelines that Parliament and the Crown use. We're just trying to uphold our side of it. So it's not about freedom. This is about Constitution. This is about your protected rights, and not just your protected rights. As Gary says, we do have a duty. We all have a duty to uphold the laws in our communities. We all have a duty to make sure this treason and these acts do not get perpetrated upon us. And our duty is being basically left, and it's time for that to stop. So this is where we take ourselves back. This is where we start being self-accountable. So we're accountable for our actions, our behaviour, the way we conduct ourselves. It's not down to the police to police us and sort out our different. It's down to us, and we need to show the police and everybody and the rest of the groups that lot. So this is why many groups have to be on there, and we have to start doing it. We have to start showing that we are not children. We can actually do this. We can unite. There is adults in us all.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's not about the time to be fearful, and that is over, because if you remain fearful, then they've got you exactly where they want you.
Exactly.
And that's what they're ruling us by, fear. Once the people lose the fear, they know that's 95% of their control is the fear, putting the fear into you. Once people lose that fear and say, "I don't care," that's wrong. Shouldn't be. That's not lawful. That's unlawful. You're not doing that. We're not allowing you to do that. And that's what they're frightened of.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
Let me toss in two different quotes here, if I might.
No problem.
During the late World War II, the Japanese had given thought about invading America itself, and one of their big generals said, "We dare not go in there." It says, because behind every blade of grass is an American with a gun, and that's why they're after our guns. Then the second thing was from John Adams, who was the second American president from 1797 to 1801. And he said, "A constitution of government once changed from freedom can never be restored. Liberty, once lost, is lost forever. If we lose this fight, it's done. That's it. There will never be another world like we see it today.
Exactly. This is the thing. If we are willing to give up all, I mean, because a lot of people don't understand the freedoms and the liberties and the rights they actually have. A lot, and this is the problem. We take them all for granted, and a lot of them use them and have the benefit of them on a daily basis. It's like you say, once we give these up, it's then a fight. It's like what's happened in literally any country around the world. You'll see the same thing. There's an oppressor, and then the people fight back. And there's always a massive war, and there's always a lot of death and bloodshed. It doesn't need to be that way. We can actually stop this before it needs to go to that point. But that's going to take people to actually stand up and make themselves count. Like I said, if it's time to drop fear. It's time to stand by your morals, stand by your views, stand by your rights, and implement your rights. Because that's what they're worried. They're worried that if we get together and we implement our rights, we are stronger than them.
Yeah, exactly right. See, they can handle the violence because violence gives them, it's like a chicken and an egg. Once you start with the violence, that gives them the right to use violence back. But when you're using the law and your rights, your fundamental rights and your sovereignty, they can't fight that with violence because that makes them in the wrong. And then that gives you the right to, defend yourself. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to remain lawful in our sovereignty, uphold our rights, and that's the way forward en masse.
Exactly, because they use this trick quite a lot across the world. They antagonise when the people rise up to it, and they have an excuse. This is why there's emphasis on certain parts of this march being lawful, because we're not going to give them that chance. We're not going to give them the excuse to act against us with force. That way, they have no power. If we take that power away from them, they don't have that power over us.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it comes down to the people and the people that are willing to act. I mean, we see on a daily basis on Facebook, Telegram, on YouTube, a lot of them, everyone's saying, right, it's time we stand up, it's time we stand up. Well, the time is now. But it's going to take every single person. So all the people listening now, all the people that go on the post, comment on the post, you've got to spread this. You've got to compel others. You've got to take a part of this yourself and responsibility for this yourself and make it happen. So the more people you can talk about it to, the more people you can get to come along, the more people you can help get to this march. Everything matters.
Yeah.
It's gonna take every single one of us. So it's not about just leaving it to group leaders to sort out. It's the onus is actually on each and every single one of us, because we all have a common goal, we all have a common duty. So we need to start acting on that duty. So we need to start bolstering each other. We need to start talking to each other, and we need to start motivating each other. We need to. This needs to happen. You need to start putting the effort in. If you want change, you want things to go ahead. If you want solutions, let's make these solutions happen. It's time.
You've got to remember this, ladies and gentlemen. Our children, future generations, will have. This is the moment in history. They'll have 2 points of history here, and that is where, well, my ancestors did nothing. They could have stood up for us, but they didn't. They just sat back, cowering in the corner, and we all become enslaved. Or the other part of history was, because our ancestors stood up and removed the tyranny and corruption, that's the reason we've got our freedoms and our rights and liberties, just like the poor buggers who went in World War II and World War One and all the other wars, Napoleonic War, who thought there was fighting for freedom and democracy, but there wasn't. There was fighting for greedy bankers, for power, money and control. That's all they was fighting for. But they didn't know that. They hadn't got the foresight that we've got. They had no internet and that back then, exposing what all these wars is really about. If that could come back now, be a different scenario. I can tell you that for nothing.
Exactly it, and that's, to be honest, we need the same sentiment them men and them women had. The selflessness, and this is beyond what people got to understand on this march. It's selflessness of the people that have come before us. They give up everything. They was willing to give up literally their life, which is the ultimate sacrifice. They done all this before selflessly, so it's now time for us to do the same thing. And they went for trials. They done it all for our freedoms, and they done it for the right thing. Like Gary said, just because the people that was controlling and manipulating what went on behind the scenes had different men and the women, they did it for the right reasons. It's now time to actually use that same sentiment and that gusto and that motive and put it to where it should be, used in the right way. Instead of for bankers, we need to now use it for our future generations. We need that spirit back. We need people to be willing to do that.
Your ancestors that lost their lives, that got sent like cannon fodder from greedy bankers, lost their lives unnecessarily, but they didn't know. Like I said, it's time to do it for them as well, so their deaths wasn't in vain, because otherwise their deaths have all been in vain, because they did it for the right reasons, and all they was really doing was implementing what's happening now. Well, giving it the chance to manifest, and we're the only ones who can stop it. The people.
Exactly. Don't let good men and women die and suffer what they've suffered. For us to at the 11th hour just give it up. We've got to give them the respect, and we've got to put ourselves on the line just as much as they did. It's not just a fight that we can push on to some people that are trained to go out and defend. This is now a fight that we have to put on each and every single one of us. This is all of us now.
There's another scenario for you, ladies and gentlemen. These people now, there's a poke in Russia now, these people, they ain't bothered if there's a nuclear war, ladies and gentlemen, because you know what? They'll press the button and they'll all go underground. They'll all get to safety underground. It'll be us who's stuck above ground, dealing with it, suffering. They don't give two monkeys about humanity, and it's about time the people woke up and put these people where they belong, because they don't care about you, they don't care about any of us. All they care about is power, control and money. And if they ain't getting it, they won't hesitate. If we don't stand up, this could well end up where the buttons are pressed and they won't give a toss, because they'll just all get in the limousines and what have you, be driven underground, and they're safe. Think about that one.
Well, this is the thing. It's like you mentioned what's going on with Russia, and I mean, there's a lot of things going around the world, which, again, I don't remember anybody really sort of being given a referendum or a chance to vote to whether we want our money and our men and women sent to these wars and to die for these reasons. Some people think they know the reasons why this is all happening, but many I don't think do, and I don't think we're meant to know. This is the whole point. All the wars beforehand, we've never known the true reason until many years after, until it comes out. I mean, the EU, I think, was tabling when military unification happened that they want to start having back the opportunity to draft 16 to 17-year-olds. I mean, do we see where this is going, people? It's like when we say we're fighting for future generations, we're getting to the point where we're talking about a global government that will control everything, especially in the West. I mean, do we really want our children being signed up to go and fight wars over resources and money because a certain group of people want to control them all? Because that's basically what's happening. This is about resources, it's about control.
I'll tell you one thing you won't see. You won't see none of these elites' children being drafted and being sent. Yeah. You won't see that. That's one thing you won't see. But they're quite happy to send your children for cannon fodder. Seriously, guys, you need to do this for the right reasons, and it's for humanity as a whole. Forget your colour, creed, religion. It's got nothing to do with that. This is about the survival of humanity as a whole.
Exactly. Understand the people that are changing the laws, are doing all this, that are changing societies and just a global mechanism. So they don't care about your religion, your race, your creed, your colour, and neither should be. All we need to understand is it's happening to all of us. It's going to affect us all equally. Once we get to that point, we can then move forward together, and that is going to be the big emphasis here: together.
Yeah, I mean, could you see anything like this happening in America for Wayne, or do you think this is going to go the other way in America with the Civil War, or do you think people will actually sit back and go, oh, hang on a minute, we can do this lawfully and that without fighting each other? Do you think there's ever going to be a chance of that happening?
I think things are changing here. People are beginning to see everything that they tried to pull on Donald Trump basically was a lie. And everybody in the media, the so-called news stations, they all knew it was a lie, but they just kept pushing it. And as more and more and more as this stuff is coming out, that it was just a lie, is uniting people to begin to, they know they need to begin to push back, because we're on the very edge of a cliff here. It would not, I don't know what the riots are going to look like tonight, but they promised big riots last night and they got a good start on it. But I think that regular American citizens are sick and tired of it. And once they begin to stand up and fight back locally, your fight is always local. You know, they say politics is local. You can run on a national situation, but politics isn't national. What's going on in your schools, what's going on in your churches, what's going on in your, in your community, that's what matters. And as people begin to stand up and begin to go to these meetings, like you're talking about, going to meetings and begin to peacefully speak your truth, calmly, firmly, and I know you want to use the emotion, but without going crazy. This, I see the tables beginning to turn. The pendulum always comes back. They always say that, the pendulum will go a long, long way to one direction, and then just all of a sudden it swings back. And I see that the pendulum big swing to the left is coming to an end. I see this thing, their momentum is stopping because they've been discovered. They all lie. And, and I have this thing that says leftists lie. If their lips are moving, they're probably lying.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. So I agree. I think we've seen that here to a certain degree. I think, especially in some of what I've seen, I think this whole left and right, there's still elements of it going on. But I do think people are starting to realise now. It's like with certain things that, like you say, come out now that truth wasn't told to all of us. We've all been victims of certain lies. We've all been victims of certain cover-ups. Which side politics you lie on shouldn't really matter. What should matter is the fact that was wrong, and we should all be uniting to say that's wrong. Just because you may have a different political view on something than me doesn't mean that we can't get together and go, do you know what? No, that was wrong. What they did was wrong. You think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. We should be showing that it's wrong. I don't see there should be any problem with that. So once we leave the personal politics out of everything and the egos, it becomes very simple.
Yeah. See, what I think's happening is, and I've seen a little bit of this going on as well, is the mainstream media control the narrative, but they are losing that narrative now because people are waking up to the mainstream media. Once they lose the narrative and the trust of the people, and I think the elites know this, that's why they're pushing it faster and faster to get it through, because once the people wake up to the narrative that they've all been played, they've all been lied to, and they ain't really now left and right divide really. Yeah, you disagree on some things and agree on others, but there ain't this big massive, you've got to hate these, we've got to hate them going on. That's been propagated by the mainstream media. Once they lose that narrative, I think that's already starting to happen, I think things will change.
I think anybody worth their salt and really mean what they say should be on this march, because that's exactly it. I mean, instead of focusing on the many differences that we can all have, because opinion creates so many differences, because everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's opinion will differ. So instead of concentrating on the multifaceted opinions we have, let's start focusing on singularities. For instance, it's like whether that be a medical wrong, whether that be an act of law that's wrong. I mean, we can all say that was wrong, that shouldn't happen. Well, once we do that, instead of sort of focus on the many branches of it, we're going to start getting unity. And so we need to come again. We need to start saying, right, well, what can we agree on?
Exactly.
I mean, you've only got to look at me and you, Nate. Me and you don't agree on everything.
No.
But we agree on the main parts. That's all that matters. So we're the prime example and a good example that no, we don't agree on anything, on everything, but we agree on the main parts like freedom and this standard. We agree on them parts, and that's all we really need to agree on. The rest, your opinions don't matter really. They do matter, but I mean, it don't matter whether you think this and I think that. You can meet somewhere in the middle. But as long as your main objectives, freedom, liberty, sovereignty, as long as you agree on all of them things, that's the main things, the mainstay of any good democracy.
Yeah.
I've been married over 48 years. My wife and I don't agree on everything, but I respect her, she respects me, and we're happy. And if you can be closely associated and disagree on things, but that doesn't mean that you can't come together and fight the big fight, the thing that's going to affect you both.
Exactly. Dwayne.
Rather than arguing about the things that affect us personally, let's start getting together about the things that affect us all together.
Well, let's face it, if you agreed on absolutely everything, life would be boring.
Exactly.
There'd be no individuality, would there? So you've got to disagree on certain things, but as long as you agree on the fundamental things, that's all that matters.
Like I said, 48 years, I'm very happy with where I am, with who I'm there with, and you can't ask anything more than that. To live a long life and be happy.
Yeah.
We're willing to fight against whatever we have to fight against to maintain our happiness. But these people, you got people who want to stop you from being happy. Well, they're going to have to try a whole lot harder, because all they're doing, they're not. I'm still happy, but now I'm getting mad.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. I think many people get to the point now, especially with what's coming out from that are admitted by big pharma companies and other aspects that are going on at the moment. I think many people are getting angry, but this is where we need to channel that anger into something positive, rather than turn it into a negative and having it used against us. We need a positive. And everybody who said about this, I've said, I hope we're going to have some good news. I hope this is good news. I hope we can all start now working towards positives. Yeah. Again, agreeing on the fundamental points that we really need to agree on, to actually start becoming self-accountable. So we're accountable for our own behaviours, our own actions, so we don't have to bicker and fight with each other. Let's start building something proper.
Yeah, I think if we can get this march going, get the people, like we've said, the different groups all involved, all in unity, like you said, bring in all your banners, nobody's excluded, all this, that and the other, and we can get that going, I think. And like I said, we ain't even told what the end goal is yet, but the end goal is
there is an end goal to it. I said this is not just a march.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, we this not said we're just discussing. We're going to be releasing them more in the next couple of weeks, but it's just
the end goal is going to be good. So at the end of the day, it's, to me, this is nothing but positive. What else have we got going on? Nobody. There's got to come a time, like Dwayne says, it's hopefully going to be happening there as well. Australia, when we release the full details, Australia could do this. Most Commonwealth countries could do this.
Yep.
So
every country can do the long march to freedom.
Yeah.
And you can all do it in your own different ways and your own things, as long as we come under the same banner that we're all marching for freedom. That's all that matters.
Yeah. As long as you keep it lawful. Because the minute you step out of the lawful, that's when you start having problems, because you give them the excuse to come down heavy on you.
Yep. And this is the
And
thing.
as long as you remain lawful, if I do come down heavy and you remain lawful, then it gives you the right to defend yourselves.
Yep. The law is the law.
Yes. And always remember, as we keep saying, Nathan, it's all down to the chronological order of events.
Exactly. As long as our intent and our physical action is that of peace and lawfulness, then it's not us that's in the wrong; it's them.
Yeah.
And
So
they
gotta
need to
remember.
understand. And they need to understand that there is no excuse. There
No.
is no excuse.
No.
Policies don't override laws, and it definitely doesn't override our freedoms, our liberties, and our rights.
No. And that's what you've got to remember, guys. But we will be doing another one, and we'll be putting more details there. But we just wanted to give people a bit of a uplift, because it can be done. This is the time now. Now is the time to unite this country like it should never been united before. And we're going to be doing something that's never been done before. So
this is it. This is what we want to do.
I'm excited. It can be done.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I said, it's multi-fact. There's a lot of actual aspects to this. Like I said, it's like the people that are marching are going to be like literally, like I said, like we say, like with the Long March of Freedom happening second war, they're going to be following in the foot. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be the greatest things, but you're going to get a feeling. This is about camaraderie. This is about uniting. This is about going through. Bonding. It's not going to be anywhere near what some of our ancestors had to have done and gone through in the past, but it's going to be some sort of, so the people, it's going to be very, 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 very massive as far as a kind of a personification of what we're talking about. There's many aspects of this, many aspects.
Yeah.
And so, I'm hoping that many of you are going to see many of our brothers and sisters all walking together, all going through this together. Because whoever comes on this march is a hero in my book. The moment you take the first step.
Yeah.
And history
you're coming on this march, you're coming on it for the right reasons. You're coming on it for your children, for your future generations. And nobody can ask any more of you, because you've upheld your rights in the right way, the right manner. We'll see.
And I said, I've just got a nice video. It's open to everybody. So, whether you agree politics is going to work now or whatever, but democracy, the corruption and democracy will be sorted out one way or another. It always is. And at some point, Parliament is going to have to stop being treasonous. It's going to have to be sorted out. So yes, it would. All those who wish to be independents or wish to get into politics, when it is sorted out, not now if it's out, but for when it would be good for you to come along and talk to the people. This is going to be a massive exercise, I'd say, for anybody who can get into politics or things, to come and actually talk to the people. Actually get a grasp of the grassroots problems and the opinions. It's be perfect for it. Anything like that, it's open to all. As I said again, please bring your flags, bring your banners, wear your t-shirts, wear them with pride.
Yeah, exactly. It's time to get off your knees, ladies and gentlemen. Stand loud and proud and be who you are. Be a sovereign man and woman, because that's what you are.
It's time to stand in your truth and stand as a strong sovereign that you are. Like I said, it's not like any other march. It's going to be different. So, also, we will give you more details. But a lot of people have sort of been asked, who we spoke to about this, have been asked, can we give people a heads up? Because, like I said, some people haven't got the money, they need a bit of time. So we're giving you a heads up now. You've got a number of weeks.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone's got a bit of time to get money together, because you're going to need 2 seconds ago. You're going to need camping stuff. So you're going to need a tent. You're going to need a sleeping bag. You're going to need clothes. You need everything you need to be able to stay out for a couple of days. So obviously there will be bits where you can get food and that along the way, so you're going to need money for that to feed yourselves. It's going to be good. Like I said, as Gary keeps saying, this hasn't been done, so this is going to be interesting, and it's one for all of us. Hoping we're all going to undertake this, because, like I said, there's no leaders on this. It's no thing. This is the people together.
And like we've always said, money, no amount of money will ever, you can throw money at it as much as you like. It's never going to get your freedoms and your liberties back. What will is something like this. We always told you, and we've always told you, it's not about the money. We ain't never been in it for money and never will be. All we do is come with solutions that need, but they do need people participation.
Yeah. And this is where everybody gets to show that they mean what they say. Now it's time to put your money where your mouth is. If you truly are for the greater good, if you truly are for solutions and you want these problems sorted out, be on this march.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're part of a group or you're on your own. I can guarantee you, more than likely by the end of this march, you will have new brothers and sisters that you bonded with. I can assure you.
Yeah. Because that's what it's about, bonding, about becoming part of the bigger picture, part of a bigger family, and you only get that by uniting. You don't get that by all travelling on one day, meeting up in a square for 3 or 4 hours, and then going home and never seeing that person again the rest of your life. At least this way, you'll be meeting for 2 or 3 days. You'll be bonding as you're walking. Because don't forget, we won't be walking 10, 15 miles an hour. You'll be walking at a nice pace. Nobody's going to be dragged along and like, come on, and marching like you would, in the army. It's not going to be that type of a march. It's a nice pace.
Yeah. Well, this is the whole point as well. It's like, because it's the weak, we're only as good as our weakest. So it's about propping each other up. So it'll help the weak, because everybody has strengths in many different aspects, and many people have weaknesses. Even the strongest people have weaknesses, and this is about that. It's about helping each other. It's like you said, it's not. We're not going to be dragging people along. We're not going to be forcing people to do things. People do it in their own time. Everybody, it's about pulling each other up and holding each other up. That's why, I mean, a lot of our vets and our military understand this. It's about getting through this together. It's about holding each other up.
Yeah.
This is where we can truly show that there is humanity.
People, have depression and stuff like that. And if you come on here on this walk now, you're talking and meeting new people, maybe it'll help if you've got, if that's what you're going through. Things like this, we ain't going to know unless we do it. And this has to be done one way or another.
Yeah, like I said, eventually we've all got to come together. Eventually we are going to have to unite, because no one person, one group is going to solve all these problems. Only people are going to do this. So it's time to come together. And like I said, it takes every single one of us. So everybody listening in, everybody who's going to watch this, this is all of our march. This is not our march. This is all of our march. We are all responsible for how successful this is and how this goes. So we all need to start talking to people about it. All need to start helping people to get places, to make sure they're on it, to make sure they're aware of it. It's going to, this is where we truly, like I keep saying, we put our money where our mouth is. Let's see how many people are genuine. Let's see the effort that you're willing to go to and to make. I said, let's see people by their actions, because your actions are shown.
Yeah, because, your constitution does work, ladies and gentlemen. You've just been led to believe it doesn't. And like I said, we've been on a few things and we've proved it does. But this, and this is what we want you need to be proud of. You need to be proud of what our ancestors left for us, because it was left for perpetuity.
there's a reason why for nearly 1,000 years our police force never needed guns or anything like that, because as community or communities, we actually upheld the laws. We kept safety on our streets. We kept ourselves. We governed ourselves, and this is what a lot of people don't realise, and this is what we need to return back to.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it could be good. And it'd be nice if you can get something going like this with yourselves in America, for Wayne. Not particularly this one, but get the patriots in America to start thinking along similar lines. It's not going to be solved with a civil war. It needs the people to unite instead.
Well, this is one of the reasons why we've been asked to do this show a bit early, because there is some people in some other countries that do sort of want to try and get this going, to try and sort of all unite a lot of people. So it's to try and, like Gary said, it's to try and get it out there. Like I said, all the details will be put out. There'll be hopefully a little list of the basics you'll need to do this and that lot. So that'll be all put out at a later date. So all the information will be given. This is just a heads up to help a few other people get it going, to help people start getting ahead of it, because like I said, money's tight for some people. So people need a bit longer to save up or get things than other people. Yeah. So again, if you can help others, if you can help someone be there, if you can help someone with equipment or anything like that, if you can help in any way, help. Let's all start propping each other up. Let's all start bolstering each other. We're not going to go on for too much longer because we're like nearly an hour and a half now. I have got to get on.
Well, that's about it, right? Anyway, now we've got out what we need to get out. But yes,
is there anything you want to add before we go, Wayne?
Is he still there? He's still there, Wayne?
Yes, I am. Say the question again.
Is there anything you want to add or say?
No, sir. I'm ready to do whatever I can to help from here. And you were right. I am working with some people trying to make effective change here. It starts small and has to grow.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll help you any way we can from this end as well.
Thank you.
No this is it. If we start stretching our hands out, I mean, then together we do this, and we can unite.
Yeah, this is what these people won't like. When people in every country start uniting in their own country and with other countries, then these people know they've got a problem coming. And I don't mean violently, I mean peacefully and lawfully. They know that. Why do you think they want to get rid of 95% of people with the vaccines and this and that? Because they know that they ain't got the manpower to deal with 99%.
I agree.
And this is it. And like I said, this is where we need to put aside. We're all facing the same challenges when it's all boiled down to it. So countries should be uniting. I mean, we've said it for years, Gary. Look at the people that sort of like argue over Brexit, whether we should be in the European Union or not. There is absolutely no reason. The people of Europe, can unite amongst ourselves without the government and without the politicians. We can do that. Yeah. Look at the Yellow Vest movement. Look at certain things. We can unite. We don't need them to unite us. We can unite ourselves, and that is the way forward we should be looking, rather than using political divide that they do. We can deal with this. We have done thousands of years. There's been multiple times in our history where we've all been united and we've united together for the common cause. It's time now, and it is a global thing that's happening at the moment. The international health regulations affect pretty much every country in the world. It's time now to come together for the common goal.
Yeah, if you needed the Parliament the way they say, why are they allowed to shut for a month or whatever it is? For the recess and that, and then when them are shut for that month or 6 weeks, whatever it is, does the country go under? No, it don't, because we don't need them.
Yeah, exactly. This is what people have got to understand. It's the everyday man and woman that run the country. It's us that take the bins out. It's us that run the trains. It's us that run the buses. It's us that does everything. The people in the suits that sit in Parliament, they don't control. They don't run anything. It's the people on the
All
boots on
we've
the ground.
basically done to them is, oh, well, we're busy working and that, but you can do all the trade deals and that for us and look after business that end. But that's all they basically do. They work for us and they do the things that we can't do because we're too busy working ourselves.
Exactly.
And that's all them doing. But when they shut and all go on holiday for 6 weeks or whatever, but you shut a business down for 6 weeks, a full business with all the staff and everything else, them employees wouldn't be able to work because they wouldn't have nobody giving them the instructions. But
Exactly,
it doesn't
and
work that way with government, does it? Because we don't need them.
I mean, this is another thing. Is that I was talking about this the other day. Who said that before the March? It's things like that we've got to understand, especially in this situation now. I mean, it's look at COVID and look at the amount of businesses like basically family business have gone, independent business gone. How much the regulations actually destroyed people's livelihoods, took their business. I mean, they're now in a destitute position because their businesses and their livelihood is everything that they had is gone because of regulations. People need to understand and this is what was said by us. I think he wishes he would have stood up, and they're sort of in a little group. They said they wish they'd have stood up at the beginning of COVID because so many people's lives would not have been affected if people just had the nerve and the backbone and the wherewithal to stand by each other rather than standing by whatever basically it's that kind of I'm all right Jack attitude. And that's what we need to understand now. It's time to suffer some uncomfortable times so that our children's and the rest of our times hopefully won't be uncomfortable because they're only going to be made more uncomfortable. We're only going to lose more businesses. We're only going to lose more livelihoods. It's time that stops. It's time we preserve our way of life rather than allow it to keep being destroyed.
I mean, we was talking about this the other day, Nathan, with the businesses and that, where it ain't as simple as that. When you're running a business, if they shut your business down, then you're going to lose employees. Then that company who supplies you is going to employ other people in the similar business to you. So you've gone bust. So now the next company that's going to go bust is the company who supplied you, and they're going to lose all their employees. And then the big shops like Asda and Morrison's and that, they're going to lose custom because all these people who've just lost their jobs and gone bust are going to have no money to spend in their supermarkets anymore. It's a knock-on effect, and people think it don't affect me, but eventually it will.
Oh yeah,
That's what we're trying to tell people.
It boils down to the end of it, and it's happened before in our history in certain places. It boils down to corporations, a few big corporations controlling everything to do with consumerism, everything. So you land up in a situation where if you're damned if you don't. Like I said, we can stop that. Let's not let that happen. Let's not let that domino effect keep happening. We've seen it with COVID. Most people have seen stories or heard of someone or seen in their town where a business had to shut because they couldn't afford to stay awake or they couldn't afford the regulations or the fines. This is where we stand up against that. No more. Not in our name.
No. Yeah, instead of keep pulling the shutters down on the shops, like Warsaw where I live, it's a ghost town now to what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And what we need to do when we did this marching, I say, no. Instead of keep pulling the shutters down, let's start opening the shutters back up. Let's get the businesses back up and running instead of you greedy bastards having it all for yourselves.
Exactly. What's wrong with like fighting for people's right to have a business and this? But this is what's being destroyed. This is what I think. Just talking about business, it is the independent business. It's all the small businesses that are being destroyed. People's right to earn a living and to forge their own path is being taken from them. We see that in COVID. We see it with a lot of things, and the international health regulations and many other things come in. All they intend to do is remove even more of a chance of that, less of a chance that happens. So won't happen. You won't have a chance to start up a small business. Your small business will not have a chance to thrive because that's not how this works. There is to be a consolidation, so it's put into the centre, so a centrification of the control of everything. So that's minerals, everything.
Yeah, I mean, the way just hit the nail on the head. Once it's gone, ladies and gentlemen. So once you allow this to happen and you don't fight back, businesses are never going to thrive anymore because there'll be nobody working. The whole idea of it is to crash the economy, to crash everything, so you all end up on benefits and you do things like a dog does things for dog food and a cat does things for cat food and what have you. You're going to be doing things for credits. And if you don't be a good little slave, then credits will be taken away from you. There's going to be no more big holidays to Mallorca and places like this for people and Lanzarote. You can forget all of that if you don't stand up. I'm telling you that now.
Oh, yeah.
I 100% agree. It's got to be done now. Once we head over the cliff, it's too late.
Yeah, of course it is. You're 100% correct, Wayne.
Well, that is what Wayne says about the edge of the cliff. It's like when you see you're coming up to a waterfall, at what point do you get out of the boat?
Exactly. Before the current gets too fast.
Exactly. Because once the current picks you up, that's it. You're going over the edge, and there's no stopping it.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, it's going to be down to all of us. So everybody listening in, everybody who's on the post and commenting, it's spread it about. This is not our march. This is our march. So it's for everybody.
Yeah.
I said it's like all the details are going to be put out, and once the details will be put out, then people join it. At the end of the day, it's all of us. No one controls it. No one is the top dog. Nobody is the sort of. This ain't about egos or anything like that. This is about people coming together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So it's decision time, basically, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to sit and do nothing, or you're going to get off your backsides and actually do something to try and remove this tyranny and corruption. It'd be your choice at the end of the day. We can't force anybody to do anything, but it's no good moaning after the fact. If you don't act, then you can't say you didn't have a chance, because you did.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a time for being on Facebook or newsreaders. This is now a time to physically show. So physically be there and physically undertake this march and show that you are genuine in what you say and genuine in your intent and what you want to do and you want solution, and show that you're willing to actually act on that. You're willing to act to make sure these wrongs are stopped and we change our future.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything anyone wants to say? Because we'll wrap it up there because I've got to get on.
Will pets and children be allowed, Nathan? But that's one of the questions we're going to be asked, I imagine.
Yes, it is a family-friendly event. That's the whole point. It's going to be lawful. It's going to be peaceful. Pets, and as far as I pet thing, but again, if you're bringing pets and children, please understand it's like they'll be under your control. It's your responsibility. So things like, remember, we will be when we release the route, you understand, but there will be sort of things you like. Obviously, have provisions to pick up your dog mess and stuff like that. We're not just going to. I mean, this is about harm and loss. We're not going to cause harm to the environment we're in by leaving rubbish and stuff like that. So please be mindful. But no, children, pets. This is time now. We all get together and we all show as one. And I don't see how there can be a better education for our children about our rights and our freedoms and that lot than actually coming on this march. Personally.
So now pet tigers, lions and bears.
Yeah. If it's a dangerous animal, please keep it all right. But no, pets are allowed, children are allowed. More the better, really.
So then,
Wrap
it up there, then, Dave.
All right, then. Right, thank you for coming on, for Wayne. It's been amazing talking to you again. We'll get you on again soon. Have a proper
Thank you for having me.
We'll get you on for a proper chin wag soon, because there's a few things that we do need to sort of go over and discuss, but we'll do that on a different show. But thank you for coming, Wayne. Gary, everybody in the chat, thank you for tuning in. Please get this shared, get this talked about, get people. Start. This is time. Put it on people. If you're serious and you are a leader of a group, or you're following a group, or you're part of a cause, if you're serious, you'll be on this march. So let's start helping each other. Let's start working together. Right. Thank you, gents.
So-
I shall bid you good night. Thank you for people in the chat. Thank you for everybody that's tuned in and that listens to this. Hope you all get on board. Hope we can all start to come together. Hope that this is the beginning of how we move forward. So, good night, everybody.
Good to
Stay safe.
speak. Good to speak to you again, Wayne, and I'll see you soon, brother.
Take care, gentlemen.
Okay.
Take
I'll
care.
speak to you in a
Right.
minute, probably.
All right. Yeah. Right. Night all. Right. Ending it now.
Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Good night. Stay safe.